Hi, Professor. Hope you're doing well and staying safe, and I hope you're ready to learn about mirror neurons. Psychology is a field that's ever growing in its knowledge of the human mind and behavior. And mirror neurons are a part of the study of psychology, but it's also shared with neuroscience because it does have to do with the brain, but more importantly, it's looking at behavior. So first off, I'll give you a basic rundown of a regular average neuron. It's fundamental to the brain. They are cells responsible for receiving sensory input from the external world and sending motor commands. In other words, they are cells that communicate with other cells in order to receive sensory information. For example, you go to touch something and it turns out to be hot. Your instinct is to whip your hand away really quickly. That's your neurons at work. They fire super fast so that you don't burn your hand. Mirror neurons are relatively new. They were discovered in the early 90s when scientists were actually studying brain activity in monkeys. They were first discovered in the ventral premotor cortex, which is the Broca's region of the brain. That's that middle band you see, and it helps to mediate language production and comprehension. Later, they were also found in the superior temporal sulcus, which is responsible for displaying visual information, such as seeing the actions of others, and that's that little lit up area you see there. They were also found to send messages to the putamen, which is a nucleus in the basal ganglia. This whole thing is the basal ganglia, and the putamen is this red area right there. It's in charge of motor control and learning, as well as behaviors and emotions. So mirror neurons are neurological structures that fire when individuals see an act done by someone else and mirror that same action, as if the observer themselves were acting. For example, if you are in a movie and you see someone on the screen crying because they had lost their grandfather, you too may start crying because you empathize with them. That's your mirror neurons at work. You may have not lost your grandfather yourself, but you can empathize with them and understand how they may be feeling. You may have lost an aunt or uncle, and that's similar to their loss. This also happens when people yawn. You hear that yawning is contagious, and it's true. It's your mirror neurons at play. You see someone yawn, and it's maybe you don't mean to, but you are anyway. You are empathizing with them and yawning as well. So mirror neurons are a system of networks of neurons within the brain, found among all primates, like monkeys, we said originally, and humans as well. The objective is to understand the intentions of others. Mirror neurons are what we call experience dependent. So when someone's good at performing action, they have a strong representation of that action in their own brain. In other words, you use your own interpretation to make sense of others' actions as well as how they are feeling. Kind of a key point is that knowing something well makes you better understand others performing that action. For example, if your friend comes out of class and they're not really themselves, they're a little down and out, and you notice that and you ask them what's wrong, and they say, oh, I just failed my science exam. You can empathize with them because maybe you yourself have failed an exam before or know how that might feel, and you reflect their feelings onto yourself as well. So what? What does this matter? So we mirror each other's actions or behaviors. What does this mean? Well, mirroring others' emotions allows us to subsequently retrieve the intentions that gave rise to them. This helps us to understand how others are thinking and feeling. This is called empathy. Empathy is very important. It helps us to understand one another, and it's crucial at times like the ones we're going through right now, with political upheaval and changing of power, the BLM movement, the global pandemic that everyone is experiencing. During these times, empathy is key, and I'm sure you've heard it before. Put yourself in someone else's shoes, and I think that's very true, especially now. With empathy, we can learn to better exist with one another and support each other, whether that be through bills and laws passed or giving other people platforms that wouldn't normally have that opportunity to have that platform. Mirror neurons give us the opportunity to empathize with one another, and I think we need that especially now. I hope you learned a little something about mirror neurons.